What is a small psychological trick that you use to your advantage in everyday life? If you whisper to a crying toddler, they'll quiet down to hear what you're saying. If you make your words almost imperceptible, they will really quiet down. And if you mumble and throw in some words like ice cream or their favorite TV show, it works even better. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I'm shocked at how many replies said this also works in a prison on inmates. I used this while I was a teacher. Worked like a charm. I still do it with my kids out of habit. Works fine. Sometimes with my wife. She hates it. Do not recommend. I also find getting down to the level of the person helps. Kneel down and talk to a toddler. Sit in the gutter with your drunk mate. But be careful getting down to the level of an emotionally disturbed child. Sped teacher here. Bent down to get on the level with a distressed kindergarten student. He purposefully spit directly into my open mouth while I was talking to him, and then took off running. The moment his spit hit my tongue was so utterly disgusting that I still gag when I think about it. Reminds me of when I was a kid, and my mom would ask me a question using a hand mic, and would point over to me, and did intentionally stay silent, so she'd repeat herself and put the mic closer, and then instead of answering it lick her hand. See, I thought it was funny. It was an evil child now. Gives me the vibes of when I would yawn, and my dad would stink his finger in my mouth. No, people, it wasn't him trying to be nasty or anything. He legit would just try to jab anyone straight in the throat if you are near him long enough. Eventually I learned to cover my mouth. Lol. My parents did this too. It was their way of getting us to ~close cover our mouths when we yawned. Eater. Replaced the word close with cover for accuracy. I thought my dad just liked to mess with me, cause he yes like that, until I realized it was to get me to cover it. Lol. Same. I recognized the moves. Your comment made me realize that I meant to say my parents did it to get us to cover our mouths and not close our mouths when we yawned. My son won't eat dinner, but he will eat a snack. Dinner is now called snack time for everyone. When I was a kid, my mom got me to eat chicken by cutting into small pieces and calling it chicken treats. Apostrophe. McDonald's made a fortune off doing just that. Late after the thread, but my nephews were being fussy about eating chicken once, and I explained that it's what chicken nuggets looked like on the inside. Worked like a charm. I listen more than I talk. You are definitely not my cat, and we do whatever they say. The power of might as well. Apostrophe. It's particularly useful if you're depressed and don't have a lot of energy to do things. So for example, if I get up to put food in the microwave, I'm going to be standing in my kitchen for exactly 5 minutes. Might as well put dishes away while I wait. If I've gotten up to grab my phone from the other room, I might as well take this garbage with me and put it in the trash can, instead of letting it pile up. I've just gotten home and am changing out of work clothes and into pajamas. I'm already standing in my closet. The pull-up bar is right there in the doorway. Might as well do 1 or 2 pull-ups. I even throw in a couple squats while I wait for the shower to warm up. Right parenthesis. Yes. The power of might as well. Apostrophe saved me from my depressive state. It had been going in for months, but I slowly started saying might as well. Apostrophe whenever I had the energy to do something, until I eventually started taking care of myself again, and then my home. Never underestimate it. Edit. Format. Assume stupidity instead of malice. There are a lot more stupid people than evil ones, and we all do stupid things now and then. It helps empathizing with people who did something you don't appreciate. As a rule of thumb, I always try to assume people are distracted rather than stupid, and stupid rather than malicious. If you think about it in terms of your own behavior, it will ring true, and it's much easier to not get angry over little slights. It has made me a much calmer driver, because sometimes I fuck up while driving too. I guess I would call it using inertia. It's a million times easier to keep doing something once you have started. So if I don't feel like working out, I tell myself I'll just do a short workout. Or if the dishes need to be done, I'll tell myself to do one. More often than not, once I start doing something, my brain stops fighting so much against it. The important thing, though, is to let yourself only do the short workout or that one dish if you start and still are fighting yourself. Otherwise you just don't start in the first place, because you know you are really talking about doing the whole thing. I use something pretty similar that I call the theory of momentum. Usually, it's the initial push, the start, which is the most challenging or difficult. But once we start what we want to do and build up momentum, continuing that task is easier. The same can be said about going from one task to another. If you go to work, then immediately go to the gym - cook dinner, fold laundry without taking rest between each task, accomplishing each becomes easier. The momentum helps me to flow from one task to the next without having to expend that initial starting energy for each individual task. That's the only way I do any workload. And if for some reason I take just 1 hour break doing nothing much, I feel like shit for stopping, and the momentum is lost. You three have just described me. I have to task myself with what needs to get done each day if I'm to get anything done for myself. No one else knows I am struggling with this. I didn't used to be like this. I feel like I am waking up to a new me that I need to figure out, so every day it feels less like a struggle. Hopefully defining that inertia / momentum works will help. Silence. Silence is easily the most powerful tool in conversation. Don't like what someone just said? Go silent and they'll backpedal. Want someone to elaborate when they might be reluctant? Just wait silently. They'll do it. Stay silent during a negotiation and they'll fight against themselves for you. Yes, a lot of people do the opposite, especially if they feel the conversation going south. Sit back, breathe and give other people room to talk, and 9 times out of 10 they will fill the gaps. When I became a claims adjuster, my boss's boss said he used this tactic often. He had to deal with the angriest of our customers, and very rarely could tell them anything different than what had already been told to them. This won't be applicable to everyone, but as a sysadmin I've learned years ago that for career advancement it's much better to be visible to the rest of the company than 100% on top of things and mostly invisible. I will occasionally let something go wrong that I could have prevented because I knew it was coming, and have the fix ready immediately. You look like a hero for fixing things so quickly, and management loves you. You have to space it out, though. You don't want things going wrong so regularly that they start to question why things break, but you also don't want things never going wrong, so they wonder why they even have you in the budget. Therein lies the dilemma of sysadmins. If you do your job well, nobody will think you did anything at all. Good old "what are we even paying you for?" ? Everything always runs smoothly. What are we even paying you for ? Something breaks. What are we even paying you for? I've taken the smallpox vaccine for 10 years and I never caught smallpox. What's the point in taking it? People buy disaster insurance just after a disaster. As the years pass, they let their insurance lapse as another disaster becomes more likely. Decently, the chance of a disaster stay the same? Like there could be an earthquake tomorrow, after that, there could be an earthquake the same day, or after X number of stays, and the chance is the same? Yes. Gambler's fallacy. This may sound ridiculous, but it has helped me immensely. I get terrible anxiety attacks from time to time, and my brain basically convinces me I am seconds away from dying. When I start to go down this spiral, I tell my brain in Samuel L. Jackson's voice, I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing. Ever since I started doing this, I find myself either chuckling or feeling empowered that I told my brain to st-foo for once. This is a therapeutic tactic. My therapist had me name the negative voice in my head. He is a cranky toddler, and when he starts telling me I am a failure, I send him to time out and imagine him sulking and scribbling on the wall. Can I just say, this comment is such a helpful suggestion to me, and I am excited to try and put it into use. You not only taught me a coping mechanism, you also made me laugh. How? I got this one from a negotiating book by Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator. Lots of parallels for parenting young kids. How can we go to the playground if you don't put your shoes on? How can we put dessert on your plate when there are vegetables in the way? How can you have fun tomorrow if you don't go to bed? It flips the script on my kids. Instead of giving orders, I am trying to help them get what they want by having them do what I want and asking them for the solution. Yeah, they can get smart and give chippy answers, but you just keep asking them how. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? When I can sense my thoughts turning dark, I start singing to myself. It's basically distraction and does help when I can catch things early enough. What do you like to sing? I probably sing the Tragically Hip the most as they're my favorite band, but mostly it comes down to what I've heard the most recently. Whatever is on my mind. Rip Gord. Great choice for that music. 90% of the time I use my customer service voice instead of my normal voice. People just treat you better when you're cheery and upbeat. I also think it kinda makes me more cheery and upbeat. As much as it annoys me, that's it true. The advice to smile while you're on the phone works quite well. I like to dress well if I have an important/stressful phone call, cause it puts me in a more secure headspace.